Salutations everybody, it is Matty here today with a video I have just wanted to make for a good 9 to 10 months now, and I'm feeling stronger than ever both physically and mentally. I'm feeling confident, and I want to share my success story with my battle against anxiety and depression, as the title suggests. So the reason I'm choosing now to finally share it is, number one, I'm comfortable enough to do so, but number two is it was recently World Suicide Prevention Day. I was inspired by a lot of the stories that folks were courageous enough to share. And number three is also that around this time of the year, I don't know how many people are like me and seasonally struggle, but the fall/winter time has always been the hardest time for me. And one of my goals at the beginning of this year was I'm not going to let the fall/winter time beat me down emotionally. And I've proven that to myself as we start entering that season that I am very well capable of this. But what helped me most was when I started reading success stories and people were sharing their stories, and I was inspired by that, seeing that there was a light at the end of the tunnel pretty much. To clarify, this is not a story about bragging, it's more so to show what happens when someone goes to the darkest point in their entire lifetime and they come out of it better and stronger than ever through a lot of hard work and determination. So that's why I want to sit down with you guys and share my story from where it starts to 2015 right up until this very moment here today. So the 2015/16 part is going to be kind of sped up because I have shared it on multiple occasions in the past, but this is really my, like I said, success story. I've made it, and I feel amazing, and I've overcome the beast inside me, and it just feels so good, and I just can't help but want to share it to hopefully inspire people and to show that keep fighting, no matter what, keep fighting. So this starts off in 2015. I have always, as a kid growing up, been afraid of death. You know, I've always been afraid of dying. It's just something in me. And so what happened was a freaky weird thing where I went on an inversion table, I flipped upside down, and pretty much anytime after that I had laid down, it felt like the blood was rushing to my head. Like if I just laid flat on my bed, it would just feel like all this blood was coming up into my head, and it was scary because I had no idea what was going on inside my body. And much like anxiety and depression, what I noticed, and you'll hear as a common theme in this story, was that it's this invisible force that I can't see that's fucking with me, and it was freaking me out. So I'm like, why is my blood rushing to my head whenever I lay down? Long story short, after freaking out and everything, turns out it's just a bad case of vertigo, which I know, right? Pretty simple for what was a multi-month issue. But what happened was that was kind of the key that unlocked this part of my brain that I wasn't aware of. I felt, I guess the best way to put it is mortal. You know, I didn't realize how afraid I was of losing everyone and thing around me. And it wasn't like anything genuinely threatened me at that point in time, but it was scary enough for me to be like, oh shit, you know, things can happen. You know, it was just that simple. And so I kind of walked around a little, I think nervous would be the best way to put it, a little shell-shocked after the events, where I was uneasy. And I tried to fight through it by distracting myself. That's really when I took up hockey, ice hockey, as a strong hobby of mine that I went to twice a week, but there were still 5 other days in the week that I was just kind of making videos, playing games. And when my mind started to go idle, one of my biggest enemies was just idle time. I would start to get like a little, again, a little uneasy. And, you know, so over time, it gradually just kind of went away because I continued with my hobbies. And then over the summer, I hung out with a lot of friends. Then I went back to school that semester. And everything was fine in 2016. 2016 was overall a good year for me. And so was into 2017, where I felt like this was just a quick sporadic thing that I had gone through, and it was mostly okay. There were little episodes here and there, but really nothing bad up until about the summer of end of the summer of 2017. Around August was when I started to get hit pretty bad emotionally, and it was my toughest test from that point till about December, where all this takes place, and where that fear I had was awakened inside of me once more when, out of all things that sparked it, that's the thing is I learned a lot, which I'll get into later on, but that paying attention to your triggers is so helpful. But I did not know about these types of things. So just reading a bit of news that the lead singer of Linkin Park had unfortunately taken his own life, I was freaked out by that, just because number one, it was death again, and number two, I was reading he had depression and anxiety. I was just like, you know what, like, I struggle with this type of stuff. And I thought to myself, well, if I struggle with this and this is what happens to some people, you know, am I susceptible to that? You know, once again, it was just this question of mortality, and it freaked me out, where for the next series of months I was just kind of afraid of my own thoughts, and I don't know quite how to translate that to anybody on what that's like to just be afraid of yourself for so long, you know, to think like when you start getting anxious, you're like, oh God, is this something that pushes me over the edge? I don't want to ever get to that point. I never, ever will let myself get to that point. And I wholeheartedly believe that inside me, but there was always this question mark there because of what I'd seen happen to people around me who suffered with similar things. And part of it was just due to a lack of knowledge on the subject, but I was just, you know, it's really funky to say, but I was just trapped feeling and terrified of myself. And so I do whatever I could to really, once again, distract myself. But I realized quickly that, you know what, you can't just run away from this. You know, at this point, I kind of put my feet down. I was like, this is going to be a tough emotional battle, but I need to fight through this because it's just going to keep resurfacing. And so I went through from, I'd say, August to about, I'd say, March. You know, March is when my life really started to turn around in 2018. Being afraid of the world, myself, you know, people around me, and just this fear having its grip on me and then some, and not letting go ever for a bulk of months straight. I'm too lazy to count right now. A bulk of months straight where I was like, what's it like to be normal again? Is what I kept thinking to myself. And why is my life like this? And why am I feeling like this? And it wasn't until one night I just hit a breaking point. And fortunately, I've always been someone who's very talkative. I've always been able to talk out my issues, but I was afraid to share this with my family because I didn't know how to word it. You know, I was always like, what am I supposed to say? I'm scared. Scared of what? Once again, we go back to that theme. It was an invisible force. I was really suffering with horrible anxiety, but I didn't know what was going on. I didn't know what to call it. I really didn't even know if this was anxiety or something else, or if I had a really bad disorder or something along those lines. I was completely unsure. So like, I didn't know what to say to my parents. And I remember there were days I just kind of get lost in thought, and I just kind of lock in like this. For those who are watching the video and not just listening, I'd literally just stare into space and just be completely lost in thought, and just circling in my head constantly of trying to like cut the webs, cut the weeds out of the way, and just create some clarity and some understanding of what's happening to me. And I just continuously never got it. And I remember my parents being like, Matty, okay? Like, hello, you there? Kind of like, and I'd snap out of it. And it was like just a handful of months that were straight out of a bad movie. It was a scary time to just not feel good in my own skin. And so eventually, like I said, I come out into the living room and I'm just like, Ma, something's wrong with me. I don't know what, you know, but something is wrong. You know, I remember her like crying, and me just kind of telling her like, I'm afraid of death. I'm afraid of who I've become. I'm afraid of so much of myself. And, you know, I remember her telling me, you know what, you should go see a therapist. And at first I was like, what's that gonna really do? Because this is in here, right? It's in my head. It's, once again, it's that invisible force. I'm like, I can't see it. It's not like the thing with mental health is like, it's not where you're like, I'm coughing, I'm sick. There's a physical attribute to it. Like when you're mentally sick, so to say, and you're not well, rather, that you're kind of sitting there just like, you don't see it, you just feel it internally. It's all there. So for me, I was like, what's talking to someone going to do? But, you know, thank God I was open-minded enough to be like, you know what, I'll take anything at this point, because I hated feeling like this. And that was a real driving force for me. It was just not liking how I felt, making sure that this was something that would be of the past, that I would move past this and live a supremely better life than what I was having right there. You know, hitting the lowest of lows and being able to look back on it like I'm doing right now once we get to the end of the story and being like, I am the fucking champion. You know, that type of confidence that you build in yourself. So I started seeing a therapist, which I know a lot of people struggle to do, but it was hands down, out of everything I did, the best decision I made. Because if anything, it's really helpful to see one, just because I was able to word vomit to someone who didn't know anything about my friends, my family, or really my life in general, and just talk to them and just spit all these crazy feeling thoughts out at them and help normalize things, where I learned to cope, to meditate, to live with, and to normalize, and ultimately go back to my usual self, which is reflected in my content. A lot of people have seen, especially in these past, I'd say 3 to 4 months, where I've really hit my stride, and you see it in the videos. Like, I'm excited to be there, I'm pumped up, as opposed to quick to 3 to 4 minute videos, just me behind the mic, kind of like a rushed video almost, or at least giving off that feeling. And, you know, you could just sense that there was passion, but not raw excitement like there is now. But like I said, it was so helpful just to be able to talk to someone and be like, help me figure out what I'm feeling and understand what this is. And so just week in, week out, I'd come in every Thursday at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and I would tell him all my issues, and we'd figure out what triggered me. We'd figure out what set me off. We'd figure out what I was really combating. And it turned this invisible force into something I felt I could grapple. At the same time, like I said, a huge turning point for me was March, because I was just coming home from a big hockey tournament in Edmonton, and I pledged to myself that, you know, this was going to be the start of change. This was going to be it. I was beyond lucky at the same time to meet, you know, my incredible girlfriend, who is the love of my life. She has really pulled me out of some tough times. She's helped me once again become a better person alongside my family and friends. And that's what happens is, my therapist had always told me that you get help from him until your family, your friends, your girlfriend, they kind of start becoming the support beams that you lean on when things get tough, right? And I was able to do that, where now when I get sad or mad or confused or whatever, it's not like, oh boy, here comes the depression, here comes the anxiety, oh God, we're going to sink into this. I've normalized it so much, and I've also I've learned how to handle it so much that it's just like another day in the life, you know, it's a problem, whatever, you know, we can handle this, and this isn't going to set me back a million miles, and I'm going to make sure it doesn't do that. There becomes this new mental determination embedded in your very core once you move past this. And it has easily become my strongest feat. So amongst, you know, going to therapy when I came back, meeting my incredible girlfriend, I'd also pledged to myself one other thing that I'd wanted to do since 6th grade. So I was about, 10 years old, 12 years old, I'd say at the time. I'm 23 now. I was like, I want to get back into martial arts. You know, I loved doing jiu-jitsu when I was younger, and then I stopped doing it. And I was like, you know what? I want to learn how to fight. I want to learn how to defend myself. I want to learn just a new skill. And I want to appreciate all the things you can do in life. That's one thing I've really learned this year, is there's so much beyond my bubble. Because if I look at my life, this time last year, it was literally the following: make a video, game, hockey. Those three things. That was literally my life. That was all it freaking was, constantly. And those are three awesome things, but moderation, man. You need moderation in life with anything. No matter how good it is, you need moderation to balance it out. So I was going overkill with the videos, and then when I wasn't doing videos, I was playing video games. So those two just overlap instantly. One of my favorite hobbies along with my work is just overlapping constantly. And my only break from it, as I highlighted earlier, was 2 times a week later at night, I'd go and play ice hockey for a league. So for me, it was just like, I found myself doing the same thing constantly, and it was just a really boring cycle of life that, once again, when I wasn't doing that, I was trapped in my own thoughts. It was just, like I said, it was so dark. So, going into martial arts, learning to more meditation techniques, training my body, learning to fight, and more than anything, like when I had a rough day, setting up some pads and just flinging the hardest kick I can at the head of this dummy and feeling the, some of the aggression and the edge come off of me, and walking away feeling entirely better. I realized, through that, amongst the, like I said, the mental training, the physical training, I'd really taken up something that was life-changing. It's the most positive environment out of any place I can be in my life, because it's just a supportive group of people who are all trying to better themselves. It is hands down my favorite place to be. I love going there. And like I said, once I started doing that, I was like, this is what I need, hobbies. And so come May, my best friend Vinny had shared with me that during a tough time of his, he was feeling unproductive. So he started studying Japanese. And as you guys know, we all joke on the channel, but I love my Japanese. I love JRPGs. I love anime. I love it all. I love my PS Vita. Come on. Here it is, right here. We still got the PS Vita right here. It's a little dusty, but I just downloaded Cosmic Star Heroine, so hopefully, we'll get a little time into the Vita finally, because the Switch has really replaced that. But anyway, you guys know I love my Japanese stuff. He shared that with me, and it inspired me. I was like, you know what? I miss studying. One thing I realized when looking back on my life, where 2015 was tough, I was out of school. 2016, I was in school, and I was busy, and so I was okay. 2017, I wasn't busy at all, and so in turn, my brain just went awry. And so I realized a pattern here of like, okay, when I'm engaging my brain, when I have hobbies, when I have things to do on top of work and gaming and that type of stuff, that I'm in a good, it creates a mental order. I'm in a good place. But when there's not any type of hobbies or things to focus on, you lose flow. You're out of the flow. There's no structure to your thoughts, and there's just chaos. So for me, when he suggested that, I was like, I'm going to start studying that. So right next to me here is, I got a workbook, Genki. I got my notebook, which I do lessons online with. And then I have Japanese from 01 because I'm learning hiragana. And I've been studying Japanese since May. I've learned pretty much all of hiragana. I'm still working on it, but it's been a life-changing journey, because now it's set up a really long-term goal for me of, I want to one day go to Japan. And I want to be able to live in that culture. And I want to be able to speak and read and see a really, truly different part of the world from where I've been. I've been lucky enough to travel a decent amount around the USA, thanks to gaming events that have been thrown. So I've seen a lot of cool places. To spend a bunch of weeks in Japan, it's a big goal of mine. So that gets me to another point that's really gotten me over my hump, was goal setting. Goal setting. It is so important to have something to work for, or else you're going to be like, why am I doing this? So for me, why am I doing this? Well, Japanese, I enjoy it, so I like it in the now. I like texting Vinny, for example, in Japanese, just because it's like, look at us go. Like, a couple months ago, we had no idea what the fuck we were doing, and now we can talk to each other in this language. It's awesome. On the other hand, we also have the long-term goal. I want to go to Japan one day, and maybe something in between where I'm not going to instantly learn it and then go to Japan. There's going to be a period of time in between there. There are going to be games I'm going to be able to play. There's going to be entertainment I'm able to consume that will help better my channel. It's also great just for work in general, for the industry I'm in, to be able to know a language of one of the biggest contributors to the games industry. So I thought this all just adds up, because I always, no matter what, want to be in the games industry my entire life. It's just, like I said, stars aligned, man. I was like, this is exactly what I need. But once I built this structure of hobbies that I enjoyed, that were productive, martial arts, you're training your body, you're training your mind, Japanese, I'm studying every day, I'm working in that workbook every day, I'm learning every day. Then also I've taken up card games, you know, because I play so many video games, and you'll be surprised as a YouTuber when you're playing games for your job and then you want to play more games. You're like, I'm good. You know, there's times where I just don't want to play games like anybody else. Because you, like I said, you play so much when you work that, you know, for example, today, as I'm making this video, I'm making other videos, I'm working on other content. I'm probably not going to game today because I've gamed enough for work, and I've been around it for many hours at a time where I'm like, okay, I want to do something else. And that's that moderation that I was hitting on earlier. So I took up card games. So you've seen me talk about it before, you know, Dragon Ball Super, the card game right here. Got my Android 17 deck. I can't wait to break this one out. And it's an exciting thing to be a part of, because that led to, you know, every Wednesday, there's a group of guys I go and play with, and it's for about 3 hours. And so that's just like another hobby, but it's kind of like, I wouldn't say productive. It's just like you activate your brain in a different way. It's not just about pressing buttons and playing games. It's about engaging mentally in a new way, and outsmarting and out-strategizing your opponent, trying to out-resource them, that type of stuff, where, you know, it like I said, it just, all these add up atop of what I do now, which is I've gotten back into streaming, as some of you have noticed. I create video content that's much longer now. I do long form videos because you guys have started to appreciate my ability to dive into the topic, and instead of like splitting up videos and giving you like multiple news bits throughout different videos, I'm like, fuck it, man, let's just put this all together and give you one giant like 15-minute video. That's easier on me. That's easier on you guys. It's more enjoyable. It gives me room to ramble a little bit. It's just ultimately better. And so I've just made a lot of positive choices where I keep track of all the games I play every year, and I've still managed to play upwards of 40 games this year and beat them. Yet I feel like I've experienced so many other things this year. And to me, I was like, wow. So despite last year where I beat like 56 games, which is just, that's crazy to me. That's like, I don't think I could do that again. But I beat so many games last year, and I beat slightly less this year, but experienced so much, and I don't feel burnt out. I don't feel overwhelmed. It's incredible, and it's because of all these positive changes I've made to overcome my anxiety and depression, where in a way now, this comes full circle, I'm thankful for it. That's the last part. I'm thankful for my anxiety and depression, because if I didn't have it, I'd still be, from my perspective, I know I'm not a lazy person, I know I'm hard on myself, but from my perspective, I'd still be lazy. I'd still be sitting around doing nothing. I wouldn't have been trying to better myself. So I'm thankful for what I went through, because it brought me to here where now it's in my personality to push myself, to put everything I've got into it, and to take up new hobbies, to be open-minded, to meet new people, to not be afraid, to embrace life, not shy away from it. With that, kind of concludes my story. At this point in time, I'm over it. And I know there will be those days. That's the thing. The other thing I want to touch on. You know, you're biologically tuned to sometimes just have some bad days, and that's okay. That's okay. Just keep fighting, you know? Just keep fighting. Because I hope my story just inspired you. I took a lot of hobbies up. I took a lot of thinking. It took me 3 years to get here in total. 3 years of ups and downs, and then a supreme down, and now here I am. And it's not like I'm riding some unfathomable high where I'm super joyful. I'm just content. You know, I'm happy at times, but I'm just content. I'm happy with where I'm at. I feel good. I walk with a sense of confidence because of how I've built myself physically now, how I've structured myself mentally, the responsibilities I have day to day. You know, I have a lot on my plate. And I realize that's what makes me happy, is when I'm not crazy busy where I'm like end to end to end to end throughout the entire day. I got something new, something to do. I got to rush everywhere. That's, I don't think, the best way to live, but you know, to each his own. But for me, I like to be busy up until around 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock at night. And then, you know, whatever, it's time to game or it's time to relax. I'll watch some anime. I'll read a comic book. I'll do something. I'll earn my leisure time. That's it, folks. Earn your leisure time. Holy crap, I can't emphasize that enough. But anyway, I'm at the point where I'm rambling now. I really hope someone out there took something. Oops, I kicked the computer. I hope someone out there took something away from my story. Because, like I said, that's what really started my journey, was hearing someone's story and being like, I can do this. So just know, if you're listening out there and you're struggling and you're like me, you felt trapped, you felt scared, just, you can do this. Trust me, you can. I know you can. And also, hey, by the way, fix your sleep schedule. Fix your sleep schedule. It's so beyond underrated and helpful. So if you're sleeping your whole day away and then like you're staying up all night, not good. Like even if you're going to bed at like 2:33 and then waking up at 11 a.m. or something like that, like just get adequate amounts of sleep. Because if you're tired, you're just going to overthink and then you'll get anxious and sad easier. And it's just like a downward hill. So get good sleep. Trust me. To those who stayed this far, thank you so much for tuning in. I hope that in some way I positively impacted you guys. And yeah, that's really all I've got for you. So I'm really happy to finally share this story. I already feel this kind of emotional weight coming off of me, putting it out there and being like, this is the stamp that says like, boom, we beat this and we're going to continue to beat this. So I'll catch you guys in the next video. Once again, thank you guys so much for tuning in and contributing in a positive way, whether you knew it or not. Comments, likes, tweets, that type of stuff, that positivity puts a big smile on my face and got me through some tough times. So give yourselves a pat on the back because you helped too. And I'll catch you guys next time. Stay sexy, stay active. I love you all. Peace.